ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضاه. Today's lesson, inshallah, we're going to start الدرس التاسع. الدرس التاسع. But before starting today's lesson, we need to go over last lesson's homework. The first piece of homework was اقرأ المثال الآتي ثم كون أسئلة وأجوبة مثله. Read the example or the following example, then construct questions and answers similar to it. So we're asking about an object. Who does it belong to? لمن, for whom or to whom. هذا الكتاب, does this book belong to? The answer, هذا الكتاب لي, this book belongs to Muhammad. So this lam shows possession. So the object here is pen. So we need to ask a question regarding the pen and then the answer. So the first one says, لمن هذا القلم. So when we put in the tashkil, the lam is the first letter and the lam has a kasra. So we need to put the kasra before the fatha because the mim has a fatha. You see, li. The kasra should be slightly more towards the right than the fatha. So this is the first thing that we read. Li man. Liman hadha al-qalamu. Whose pen is this? Whose pen is this? The answer, hadha al-qalam, and then we need to use what's in the brackets. So here is Abbas. So we say hadha al-qalamu li Abbasin. This pen belongs to Abbas. The next question is miftah. We're asking about the miftah. Who does it belong to? So same thing. Liman hadhal miftah. Miftahu. Liman hadhal miftah. And when we're doing the questions, we need to consider the gender for the ism al-ishara so that it matches. Hadhal miftah. The answer, the name in the bracket is Ali. So we say هذا المفتاح لعلي, and Ali has a shadda on it. So the lam just joins onto the noun. Yeah, it just joins onto the noun. The next question is sayyara, and sayyara is feminine. Hence, we're going to say liman هذه. لمن هذه السيارة. لمن هذه السيارة, and the answer is that it belongs to the mudir. هذه السيارة للمدير. للمدير. Notice how the word where we're adding the lam to al-mudir has hamzatul wasl, al. Whenever a word starts with al, the al which makes a word definite, the definite article, the, if we're adding lam to this word, we have to take off the hamzatul wasl. We have to take off the hamzatul wasl. So that's why we took off the hamzatul wasl here. Lil mudiri. And that's what we're going to do for all of the ones that have al. We take off the hamzatul wasl and join it to the lam. And we mentioned this previously. And we do this always so long as the word starts with al and then there's no other lam after it. There's no other lam after it. If there's a lam after the lam, so a word that starts with lam, for example, laban or lahm, if we add al to it, we're going to have two lams, lam of al and the lam of the word. In that case, we have to omit the alif and the lam. Okay, let me just show you here. So if we had, for example, al-laban, if we're adding lam here, we have to take off this alif and we have to take off this lam. We're going to be left with lil laban, lil laban, lil labani. And the same for Allah's name, Allah lillahi, and so on. Okay, so if there's al and the word starts with lam, we have to take off the hamzatul wasl and the lam. But if the word starts with other than lam, then we only take the hamzatul wasl off. we only take off the Hamzatul Wasl. Okay, the next one, we're asking about the Baqarah. Baqarah is feminine, so we say liman hadhihi al-baqaratu. To whom belongs this cow? And it says in the answer, fallah, farmer. So we say هذه البقرة للفلاح. This cow belongs to the farmer. The next one on the next page is asking about the briefcase. We're saying لمن هذه because it's feminine. لمن هذه الحقيبة. To whom belongs this bag? Because it's feminine. And the answer is to the teacher. So the teacher's Hamzatul Wasl al. So we have to take off the Hamzatul Wasl when adding the lam. So هذه الحقيبة للمدرس. And remember, this lam is a harf jar. That's why all of the words are ending with kasra or kasratain. Okay, the next one, we're asking about the chair, al-kursi. Kursi is mudhakkar, so we say liman hadha. هذا الكرسي. لمن هذا الكرسي. We're saying it belongs to Ammar. So there's nothing that needs to be omitted here. We can just add it on. So we're saying هذا الكرسي لعمار. This chair belongs to Ammar. The next one is dajaj. And we don't know what the gender is, so we could say dajajun or dajajatun. I'm going to go for dajajatun. Make it feminine. So if I make it feminine, I have to use هذه. So I say liman هذه dajajatu. Whose hen is this? And it belongs to bint al-fallah. Now here we have to remember the rules of mudaf ilayhi. One of the rules of mudaf ilayhi is that the mudaf varies in its i'rab. The ending of the mudaf can change. It could be bintu, it could be binta, it could be binti, depending on the context of the sentence, what position is playing in the sentence. Fallah is mudaf ilayhi. This will always be majroor. It's always going to end with a kasra. This is something which is absolute rule for the mudaf ilayhi. As for the mudaf, then it changes. In this case, we're bringing lam, which is a harf jar. So the bint is going to end with a kasra. Binti, li binti, the farmer's daughter. So هذه الدجاجة li binti. T, because of this lam, has affected the mudaf and made it majroor. Li bintil fallahi, belongs to the farmer's daughter. The next one is asking about the watch. Sa'a. Sa'a is feminine, so we say liman hadhihi sa'atu. Whose watch is this? We say hadhihi sa'atu. This watch libni al-mudiri. That's the what's there. Now Ibn al-Mudir, this word has Hamzatul Wasl. This word also has Hamzatul Wasl. Are we going to omit this Hamzatul Wasl when adding the lam? No, we don't omit the Hamzatul Wasl in this case, because this is not part of al. We only omit the Hamza of al. This is not al. This Hamza is part of the word. Yeah, Ibn. It's not from al. The only Hamza that gets omitted is from al. So this one we keep it. Hence, we wrote it like this. Libnil mudiri. طيب, the next one is house. House, bayt, is mudhakkar. So we say liman hadhal baytu. Whose house is this? And we're saying it belongs to the tabib. Al, so we take off the hamzatul wasl before adding the lam. hadhal baytu للطبيب, belongs to the doctor. And the final one is asking about the spoon, and we're saying it belongs to the student. So we're going to say liman هذه الملعقة. Whose spoon is this? هذه الملعقة. This spoon للطالب belongs to the student. This pen belongs to the student. طيب, the next exercise or the next piece of homework was reading and writing exercise. To read and write these ones. So I've written these out already here, 6 sentences. So we're going to read them now. طيب, هذا الطبيب من إنكلترا. هذا الطبيب, this doctor. So this is not a sentence, remember, this doctor, any noun that comes with al after ism al-ishara, then it's going to refer to the same thing. So هذا and the tabib are referring to the exact same thing. So we're not informing about it. This is not coming in to inform anything about هذا. This is هذا. هذا الطبيب. The tabib and the هذا are indicating the same thing. So it can't be a complete sentence. Hence, we need to bring something to complete it, some information. هذا الطبيب, this doctor, من is from إنكلترا, is from England. هذا الطبيب من إنكلترا. This doctor is from England. Next one is a جملة فعلية. Starts with a فعل. ذهب. And the components or the elements of a جملة فعلية, we need to have a فعل, a verb, and we need to have a dua. The dua is Hamid. Who is the person who's doing this action? Hamid. And Hamid, because he is the fa'il, the dua, he needs to be marfu'. This is the indication. Marfu' dhamma wa dhammatain. Hamidun. ذهب Hamidun. Hamid is the one who did the action of going. Where did he go? إلى فرنسا. ذهب حامد إلى فرنسا. Hamid went to France. طيب. The scholars, they mention that traveling to non-Muslim countries is haram unless there is a need. But for tourism and so on, it's not permissible. And especially a country like France that has so much hatred for the Muslims. طيب, ذهب حامد إلى فرنسا. Hamid went to France. And notice how Inkaltarra and Faransa both have alif. They end with alif. Because they will end in alif, we do not see the changes, even though it's majroor here. So it's supposed to have a kasra, but we can't see this kasra. So this kasra is estimated. Muqaddar. Okay? And this is the point of this exercise. The point of this exercise is to teach you that, because in the previous page he was mentioning these things. Ta'ammal. So, Mahmudun, Maridun. Mahmud is sick. This is a sentence and it's complete. Huwa, al-ana is a new word. Al-ana means right now. Right now. This is also an adverb. Dharfun. Dharfun, we mentioned adverbs are 2 types. Adverb of time and adverb of place. Previously we took tahta, amama, khalfa. Those were adverb of place. This is the first adverb of time. Now, right now, at this moment. Fil mustashfa. He is right now in the mustashfa. Or you could say he is in the hospital right now. So you translate it into English in a way that it makes sense. Mustashfa. He is in the hospital right now. Mustashfa ends with alif, so we can't see the kasra, but it is majroor. Mustashfa is majroor, and the sign of it majroor is a supposed kasra here, estimated kasra, which we can't see because this word ends with alif. Next one is also a jumla fi'liya, just like this one. So we have ذهب. Someone went. Who is this person that went? Abdullah. And Abdullah, this name is mudaf ilayhi. This name is mudaf ilayhi. And we mentioned that the mudaf is what changes depending on its position in the sentence. Here right now, it's come as the dua, fa'il. And we said here, fa'il is marfu'. Hence, it takes a dhamma. 1 dhamma, not 2, because mudaf never takes tanween. ذهب Abdullahi. Abdullahi went he went from Almania. He went from Almania, from Germany, ila Inkaltarra. He went from Germany to England. Abdullahi went from Germany to England. طيب, جملة فعلية. If we said ذهب Abdullah alone, the sentence is complete. If we said ذهب Hamidun alone, the sentence is complete. طيب, the next one says هذا الكتاب this book لعيسى this book belongs to Isa. وذلك, and that book, وذلك الكتاب لموسى. Remember, this is a meme, yeah? This little thing here is a meme. This book belongs to Isa, and that book belongs to Musa. The last sentence says هذا المهندس, this engineer, من أمريكا. This engineer is from America. طيب, this was the second exercise, and the final exercise is a reading exercise, so we'll do it on the book. It says اقرأ, read. And this is the adverbs that we were talking about. Remember, most of the adverbs, well, usually adverbs of place, they act like a mudaf. So the word after is going to be mudaf ilayhi, hence it takes the kasra. It's going to be majroor. So اقرأ, read. السبورة, this word means blackboard. السبورة, shadda on the ba and the sin, because it's shamsiya. السبورة, blackboard. The blackboard أمام الطالب, the blackboard is in front of the student. السبورة أمام الطالب, the blackboard is in front of the student. وهي خلف المدرس, it is in front of the student. وهي, and it is, yani referring back to the sabura. So at the same time, it is behind the teacher. It is in front of the student and it is behind the teacher. خلف means behind. مضاف مضاف إليه, مضاف مضاف إليه. السبورة أمام الطالب وهي خلف المدرس. The blackboard is in front of the student and it is behind the teacher. Next one. أين, this should have a hamzatul qat', this sign on top. أين سيارة المدرس, where is the teacher's car? أين سيارة المدرس? هي أمام المدرسة, it is in front of the school. This could be madrasa or mudarrisa. It is in front of the female teacher or in front of the school. I think madrasa is more appropriate. It is in front of the school. أين بيت الإمام, where is the imam's house? أين بيت الإمام? بيت الإمام خلف المسجد. The imam's house is behind the masjid. أين جلس حامد, where did Hamid sit? Jalasa is a new verb. Jalasa means to sit. Jalasa, to sit. Hamidun is the fa'il, the doer. Where did Hamid sit? Jalasa khalfa Mahmudin, he sat behind Mahmud. Jalasa khalfa Mahmudin, he sat behind Mahmud. Where is the fa'il in this jumla fi'liya? The fa'il, we say, is hidden. Sometimes the fa'il, if the verb is coming in its base form like this, jalasa, dhahaba, raja'a, it's possible that the fa'il is mentioned. If the fa'il is not mentioned in the sentence, then it's going to be hidden. It's hidden and it's always going to be huwa. If it's like this, it's always going to be huwa. So jalasa huwa. Where is huwa? It's hidden inside jalasa. What's huwa talking about? It's talking about Hamid and referring to Hamid. Jalasa khalfa Mahmudin, he sat. That's why we translate it as he sat. Where do we get he from? It's hidden. When is it hidden? If it's not mentioned in the sentence, we look for it first. If there's no noun mentioned as fa'il, then we are going to say it's hidden, and it's always going to be huwa if the verb is in its base format like this. Jalasa, he sat, khalfa Mahmudin, behind Mahmud. Dhahaba Ammarun, Ammar is the fa'il here. Ammar went ila al-masjidi, Ammar went to the masjid. Wa jalasa is the fa'il mentioned here? It's not. So it's going to be hidden. Huwa. وَجَلَسَ and he sat, referring back to Ammar, and he sat أمام المحراب. وَجَلَسَ أمام المحراب. Mihrab is the front part of the masjid. It's like an oval shape where the imam stands, where he leads the people. ذهب عمار إلى المسجد. Ammar went to the masjid. وَجَلَسَ أمام المحراب and he sat in front of the mihrab. طيب, this was last week's homework. Today we're going to start the new lesson. Let's start the new lesson. الدرس التاسع, the 9th lesson. The 9th lesson is split into 2 sections. Today, inshallah, we're going to take the first section. We're going to cover the first section, inshallah. And we're going to begin by reading the passage. And then, inshallah, after that, we're going to explain the new concepts. من هذا الرجل? من هذا الرجل? Who is this man? هو عباس. هو عباس. He is Abbas. عباس تاجر. Abbas is a merchant. He is a businessman. عباس تاجر غني. Abbas is a rich businessman. عباس تاجر غني. Abbas is a rich businessman. حامد مدرس. Hamid is a teacher. حامد مدرس جديد. Hamid is a new teacher. حامد مدرس جديد. Hamid is a new teacher. ما هذا? What is this? هذا تفاح. This is an apple. التفاح فاكهة لذيذة. التفاح فاكهة لذيذة. Apple is a delicious fruit. Apple is a delicious fruit. ما ذلك? What is that? ذلك عصفور. That is a sparrow. العصفور طائر صغير. العصفور, the sparrow, this type of bird. طائر, bird. صغير means small. العصفور طائر صغير. العصفور is a small bird. Notice how when I'm translating these parts here, I'm translating this word before this one. The description before the thing being described. We're going to explain that in a moment, inshallah, but just pay attention. العصفور طائر صغير. The sparrow is a small bird. العربية لغة سهلة. عربية لغة. Arabic is a easy language. لغة سهلة. العربية لغة سهلة. Arabic is an easy language. العربية لغة جميلة. Arabic is a beautiful language. العربية لغة جميلة. Arabic is a beautiful language. لغة means language. عمار طالب مجتهد. عمار طالب مجتهد. مجتهد means hardworking. Ammar is a hard-working student. ومحمود طالب كسلان. كسلان means very lazy. ومحمود طالب كسلان. And Mahmud is a very lazy student. مجتهد, hard-working. كسلان, very lazy. من أنت? Who are you? من أنت? Who are you? أنا طالب. I am a student. أنا طالب. I am a student. أأنت طالب جديد? Are you a new student? أأنت طالب جديد? Are you a new student? نعم أنا طالب جديد. Yes, I am a new student. طيب, okay. The main concept that we're learning in this lesson is how to describe something. This is what we learn in this lesson. How to describe something. If you want to describe something, there are two main rules. Two main rules. Rule number 1 is you have to mention the thing that you're describing first. Mention the thing being described first. Okay, that's the first rule. You mention the thing that you're describing first, which is the opposite in English. In English, you mention the description first, then the thing that's being described after. So you say a big pen, for example, a long pen, a broken finger. You mention the description first, then the thing being described. In Arabic, it's the opposite. You mention the thing being described first. That's why when I was reading the text, I was translating in English, I was translating the description first, then the thing being described, so that it matches to the English rules. But in Arabic, it's the opposite. So what's the first thing you do? You mention the thing that's being described first, then mention the description. Simple rules, huh? Mention the thing being described first, then mention the description after it. So you mention the thing being described first, then you mention the description after it. This part is easy. The tricky part is the description and the thing being described, they have to match in certain things. They have to match in certain things for us to know that this word is describing this. If they don't match in these things, then we don't have this phrase. This descriptive phrase is not there. They have to match in certain things. What are these things that they have to match in? The first is they have to match in gender. The first is they have to match in gender. And how many genders do we have? We have 2 genders, right? 2 genders. What are the 2 genders? We have mudhakkar and mu'annath. We have masculine and feminine. This is the first thing. So if the thing being described is masculine, the description also has to be masculine. For example, baytun kabirun, a big house. Mudhakkar, mudhakkar. If I was to say sayyaratun kabiratun, baytun kabirun, sayyaratun kabiratun, I added ta marbuta to make it feminine because sayyara is feminine. Okay, so the first thing that they have to match in is gender. And we have 2 types, mudhakkar, mu'annath. The second thing that they have to match in is number. And if you remember number, we have 3 types of number. And 3 different categories. So we have mufrad, singular. Then we have muthanna, dual. Then we have plural, jam'. If the thing being described is mufrad, is singular, the description also has to be singular. If the thing being described is dual, the description has to be dual. If the thing being described is plural, the description has to reflect that also. For example, baytun kabirun, singular house, the description is singular. Baytani kabirani. How do we construct the dual form? We're going to learn inshallah later on in this book. But the point here is baytani kabirani. The description also has to be dual. And then if it's jam', for example, I would say buyutun kabiratun. Buyutun kabiratun. Or another example, muslimuna tiwalun. Tall Muslims, and so on. These are just examples. Okay. So number, if the thing being described is singular, it has to match. If it's dual, it has to match. If it's jam', it has to match with the description. So number. The third thing it has to match is in being definite. Definitiveness. Definitiveness. I don't know if that's a word, but if it's definite or indefinite. Then there's 2 types. Definitiveness. We have 2 types, right? We have ma'rifa and we have nakira. So there's 2 in this category. Ma'rifah, definite. Nakira, indefinite. So if the thing being described is ma'rifah, the description will also be ma'rifah. And if the thing being described is nakira, is indefinite, the description will also be indefinite. So for example, something which is definite, al-baytu. Now it's definite, right? Al-baytu, al-kabiru, the big house. See, al-kabiru has to be definite also. If it's nakira, baytun kabirun. I took off the alif lam from both to make it nakira. Al-baytu al-kabiru, baytun kabirun. The fourth and final thing that it has to match in is i'rab. In i'rab, case ending. Yeah, i'rab they translate as case ending. The state of the word. Yeah, the states. And how many states did we say for the noun has? The mu'rab noun, it has 3 states. If you remember, the mu'rab noun, we have 3 possibilities. It could either be marfu'un, mansubun, or majrurun. 3 states. So if the thing being described is marfu', the description has to be marfu'. So baytun, kabirun, both are marfu'. If the thing being described is mansub, the description also has to be mansub. Baytan kabiran. If the thing being described is majrur, the description has to be majrur. Baytin kabirin. Okay, so the description follows the thing that is describing in i'rab. طيب. These are the 4 things. So to summarize all of this, we could say that the thing being described, or we could say the description, to summarize, we could say the description follows or matches. The description matches the thing described. I'm sure there's a better word. The description matches the thing described in 4 out of 10 things. In 4 out of 10 things. In 4 out of 10 things. What does that mean exactly? 4 out of 10 things. So we have 4. Gender, it has to match in gender, it has to match in number, it has to match in definitiveness, it has to match in i'rab. That's where the 4 comes from. It has to match in these 4 things. One of these 4 things. Where do we get 10 from? 10 comes from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 in total. There's 10 subcategories. And if we include the subcategories, there's 10 in total. So it has to match in 4 out of these 10 things. In this, it has to match in 1. 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 So it has to match in 4 out of 10 things. طيب. Okay. So now, let's go back to the sentence or the text. Let's go back to the text. Here we have our first description, or the thing being described is here. The thing being described is here, and the description is here. Does it match in 4 out of 10 things? Let's see. The thing being described is what's the first thing that we mentioned? Here, gender. Okay, gender is, it's mudhakkar. So the mudhakkar, this is mudhakkar, this is masculine. Is the description ghaniyun? Is it mudhakkar also? Yes. So this is mudhakkar, this is mudhakkar. So that's number 1. It matches. That's number 1. It matches. Okay. In number, tajir is one businessman. And the description also is referring or describing something which is 1. So it matches in that. That's 2. 2 out of 5 so far, yeah? Then we have ma'rifa and nakira. This is nakira, and likewise this is nakira. That's 3 out of 7 so far. Then i'rab. Abbasun tajirun marfu', ghaniyun marfu'. Both of them are marfu'. That's 4 out of 10. So yes, this and this match in 4 out of 10 things. They match in gender, in number, in case definitiveness and i'rab. طيب. So here we have our thing being described and then the description. Final thing now is the thing being described is called man'utun. Man'utun is the thing being described, and this is what comes first. Then after that we have the description, and the description is called na'tun. Na'tun. The description is called na'tun. The thing being described and then the description. And some books you find a different name. You find this being called mawsufun. The man'utun be called mawsufun. Mawsufun. And the na'tun be called sifa. They refer to the exact same thing, yeah? So this could be called man'utun or mawsufun, the thing being described, and the description na'tun or sifa, description. Okay, so we have the man'utun first, then the na'tun next, and the man'utun and the na'tun must match in these 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. طيب, I hope this is understood, inshallah. So this is what we have. So let's look at the first example we've looked at. Then we have mudarrisun jadidun, a new teacher. A new teacher here. This is our man'ut, the thing being described. Na'at, this is the na'at. Do they match in gender? In number? Yes, both are mufrad. Do they match in being definite or indefinite? Yes, both are indefinite. Do they match in i'rab? Yes, both are marfu'. Mudarrisun jadidun. Man'utun na'tun. Okay. So the man'utun is the thing that plays the role in the sentence. So we have like mudaf ilayhi. The mudaf ilayhi is just the follower. It just follows the mudaf. It's the mudaf that plays a role in the sentence. That's what comes as fa'il, comes as mubtada, comes as khabar. And the same here. It's the man'utun, the thing being described, that comes as the khabar, that comes as the mubtada, that comes as various things in the sentence. This, the description just follows it. It just follows it. It doesn't play a major role in the main sentence. It just describes this. Yeah? So hamidun mudarrisun. So this would be mubtada, khabar. And this would be na'at. Same here. Mubtada, khabar. And this is na'at for this man'ut, for this thing being described. Okay, let's look at another example here, another one. At-tufahu fakihatun. Apple is a fruit. Ladhidatun is the description now. Ladhidatun is the description of the fruit. Delicious fruit. Apple is a fruit which is delicious. Let's see if they match in those things. Do they match in gender? Yes. This is mu'annath, this is mu'annath. Both are feminine. Do they match in number? Yes. This is 1, this is 1. Do they match in being definite or indefinite? Yes. This is indefinite, this is indefinite. In i'rab? Yes. Both are marfu'. And the same here. Al-usfuru ta'irun, saghirun. Saghirun is the na'at for this. Ta'irun. So this is man'ut, na'at. Here, al-arabiyyatu lughatun sahlatun. Arabic language is easy language. This is man'ut, this is na'at. And you see that they match in all of those things that we mentioned. Okay, here, al-arabiyyatu lughatun jamilatun. Lughatun jamilatun, beautiful language. This is man'ut, this is na'at. And they match in all of those 4 things. Talibun mujtahidun man'utun na'at. Man'utun na'at. Marfu' marfu'. And we're going to come to find out that this type of word is mamnu' min as-sarf. Inshallah, it's going to come later on. That's why it doesn't take dhammatain. It only takes 1 dhamma. Okay. Talibun jadidun na'at man'ut. Or man'ut na'at. Man'ut na'at as well here. Tamarin. Iqra waktub. Read and write. Read and write. And this is giving you further practice of the na'at or man'ut. This reading exercise is further giving you more practice of the na'at man'ut concept. So this is homework, inshallah. We're going to set this as homework. First piece of homework is to read and write this passage here, these 10 sentences. And you try your best, inshallah. Secondly, ضع في الفراغ في الجمل الآتية نعتا مناسبا. نعتا مناسبا. It says place in the empty space في الجمل الآتية in the following sentences a نعت, a descriptive word that is suitable. A suitable descriptive word. Okay. Khadija talibatun. Khadija is a student. What type of student is she? Any descriptive word that is matching to the thing being described. So remember, this is feminine. This should also be feminine. Yani 4 out of those 10 things that we mentioned. Okay. This is homework number 2. Homework number 2. Homework number 3. ضع في المكان الخالي في الجمل الآتية منعوتا مناسبا. So فراغ and خالي refer to the same thing. فراغ, empty space. خالي, empty space. ضع في المكان الخالي, place in the empty space. في الجمل الآتية منعوتا مناسبا. So here منعوت. Here we wanted a na'at, a descriptive word. Here man'ut, the actual thing that's being described. You need to put something which is being described. Looking at the describing words, you look for something which is suitable, that fits that description. طيب, that's homework number 3. Number 4 now, and this is what we said we're going to explain. So look at these words now. كسلان, جوعان, عطشان, غضبان, ملآن. They rhyme, right? And that's because they all come on the same pattern. They come on the same pattern. These words are ممنوع من الصرف. ممنوع من الصرف, as we mentioned previously. ممنوع, يعني they are prevented from صرف. صرف is tanween. They are prevented from taking tanween. So they don't take tanween. These words are ممنوع من الصرف. So this is the second category of ممنوع من الصرف. The first category of ممنوع من الصرف that we took was feminine proper nouns. خديجة, مريم, زينب, to the end. Those are ممنوع من الصرف. Why? For 2 reasons. Because they are مؤنث, they are feminine, and because they are proper nouns. علم. علم, مؤنث. They are proper nouns that are feminine. 2 reasons. Why are these ممنوع من الصرف? They are also ممنوع من الصرف for 2 reasons. Reason number 1 is because they are descriptive words. They are صفة. They are a صفة. They are descriptive words. And it's important to note that nouns are of 2 types. Generally speaking, nouns are 2 types. There are nouns which are indicative of a things. Nouns which indicate a thing, that. Let me write it down. So there are 2 types of nouns. Nouns can be categorized into 2 types. Yeah, the ism, 2 types. Nouns which indicate objects or people or things, they're called ism ذات. اسم ذات. So nouns which indicate things, places, people. So like حجر, بيت, قلم, إنسان, محمد. They indicate a place or a person or a thing. And then we have اسم صفة. اسم صفة. Nouns which indicate a description. Like جميل, beautiful, كبير, tall, سريع, fast, to the end. So these are used to describe these. These are not used to describe. Okay. So here we're saying that these words are descriptive words. So they fall under this category. So the first condition is that they are a صفة. Why are they ممنوع من الصرف? They are ممنوع من الصرف for 2 reasons. The first reason is because they are صفة. They fall into اسم صفة. The second reason is because they have alif and noon, which are additional at the end. Alif and noon additional. See, alif and noon additional. Alif and noon additional. But the ending is all the same. Anu, anu, anu. Because this alif and this noon are additional to these words. They're not part of the root letters. They're not part of the original letters of this word, the root letters. Okay. 2 reasons. What are the 2 reasons? These words are sifat. They are descriptive words. Secondly, they have alif and noon additional to the end. Alif and noon which have been added to the end. This is what is making them mamnu' min as-sarf. These 2 reasons. طيب, the meanings now. Kaslanu means very lazy. It comes, this pattern comes to show a high degree of that descriptive word. Whatever the meaning of that word, a higher degree. Extremely, kaslan means extremely lazy. Jo'an means extremely hungry, very hungry. عطشان, thirsty, very thirsty. غضبان, very angry. ملآن, very full. Yeah, it shows a high degree of something, يعني the descriptive word, a higher degree, a higher level of it. Like for example, Rahim means someone who is merciful. Rahim means merciful. Rahman means very merciful, extremely merciful. Hence, this name Rahman is only for Allah. No one can have Rahman, this name, because it's only suitable for Allah. So similar here, Kaslan, Jaw'an, they show a high level of kasal, laziness, high level of hunger, thirst, anger, being full. طيب, so the homework here is we need to read these. This is testing you to see if you can read these and not put tanween on them, because they are mamnu' min as-sarf. Okay, al-kubu mal'anu means the cup is full. Let me go over the new words. Al-kalimat al-jadida, the new words. Al-lughatu, language, the language. Shahirun means famous. Shahirun, famous. Al-madinatu is city. Al-ta'iru, bird. Al-yawm means today. Kaslanu, very lazy. Jaw'anu, very hungry. Atshanu, very thirsty. Mal'anu, very full. Ghadbanu, very angry. Al-usfuru, sparrow. Al-yawma came twice. Al-yawma can actually mean today, and it can mean the day. The day. Al-yawma alladhi, the day that something happened. So it can mean the day or today. طيب. And this is the end of section 1. So next lesson, inshallah, we're going to complete the homework and begin section 2. And in section 2, it's exactly the same concept that the author wants to teach you, except that now, here in this section, he's going to be talking about ma'rifa words. Al-mudarrisul jadidu. So we've already covered this. We said that they have to match in 4 things, and we also included ma'rifa. So here, all that's new is that this is ma'rifa. If this is ma'rifa, this has to be ma'rifa. Whereas in these examples, it was just nakira. Darsun sahlun. Mudarrisun jadidun. All of them were nakira. In section 1, all of the words, the na'at man'ut, were all nakira. In section 2, they're going to be ma'rifa. That's the only difference. طيب. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.